Well, good morning. A very happy Monday to everyone, and welcome to the John Quintero Show on YouTube. You're also seeing us live on Facebook. You can follow me on Facebook at John Quintero. You can follow me on X at Coach Quintero44. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I certainly did, and very excited about being here this morning. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to get into the Padres. We're going to get into our college basketball teams, but man, we got to start off talking about Major League Soccer, the 30th season of the MLS. We should have had a team many, many years ago, but man, it was worth the wait. Last night, up at Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, San Diego FC playing their very, very first game in franchise history in the regular season, and they shocked the MSL soccer world, taking down the defending MLS champion, the great LA Galaxy, 2-0. What a match it was. I mean, and first of all, congratulations to the organization, but congratulations to all the great soccer fans in San Diego. Man, what a turnout last night up in Carson. When that final whistle blew, man, the fans went crazy. I don't know how many. They said there were 1,200. There had to be more than 1,200 San Diego FC fans up there. It was an amazing turnout last night. And now they've got their home opener coming up on Saturday night, 7:30 at Snapdragon Stadium against St. Louis City SC. But last night it was thrilling. I mean, you walked away, even with a tie, you would have been happy. If it had been 0-0, you'd have walked off that field feeling pretty good. But to win 2-0, and to be honest with you, the Galaxy were outplayed much of the night. They really were. They had a late flurry where they put pressure on San Diego FC, but the defense, the goaltending was fantastic. And at the end of the day, they scored 2 goals. That first goal, the Galaxy really set it up for San Diego FC. But at the end of the day, Anders Dreyer had 2 goals. That first goal in the 52nd minute on a misplay on the back line by the Galaxy. But then the second goal in stoppage time, the 93rd minute, a breakaway, a great pass by Tomas Angel to Anders Dreyer, and he put it away. 2-0. They come home with a win. They're 1-0. They get 3 points. And I realize the LA Galaxy down about 7 players from their championship team, but I don't care. They've been, for the most part, the New York Yankees of the MLS. That is a huge win. Now, if San Diego FC can come home and get another win, get off to a 2-0 start, and who knows? I mean, I don't know if this can be a playoff team or not, but you know what? There are going to be some ups and downs. There's no question about that. There are going to be ups and downs. It's an expansion franchise. You're trying to melt new players together. But I thought they looked very connected last night. I was very impressed. And when you looked at the stats from that match last night, really, San Diego FC dominated. I mean, they had the ball for 55% of the time in the first half, I think it was, but they outshot the Galaxy 9-7. They had more shots on goal, 6-3. Overall possession time was 52% of the time for the Galaxy, or excuse me, for San Diego FC, 48 for the Galaxy. Connected passes, 556 for San Diego FC, 531 for the Galaxy. Passing accuracy, they were both at 87%. Offsides, 2 offsides. And you know what? That's really good. Only 2 offsides. Galaxy had 1, but when you're playing with a bunch of new players, you don't know exactly what their movements are going to be. So that was pretty impressive. And San Diego FC had more corner kicks. They were 3-1. They were putting pressure on the Galaxy pretty much right from the get-go. But late, Galaxy, man, they tried to throw it into high gear, but that's why they got caught on that late goal on the fast break. A great counterattack by San Diego FC. Yesterday, San Diego FC played a 4-3-3 offense defense, 4 defensemen, 3 midfielders, and 3 forwards. And I would imagine that's the way they're going to play most of the year. But, you know, it's early. You have injuries. You add players. You subtract players. We'll see where it goes. But, man, that was awesome. I watched it on Apple TV Plus. It was really a fine match. I was so impressed. Really, I was very impressed because you got a lot of new players that have never played together. I mean, it's a new team, new coach, new franchise. You couldn't ask for anything more. I mean, went above and beyond, and the intensity they played with was great. Everybody kind of kept their composure, which was really, really good to see. So congratulations to San Diego FC. And they're going to be giving away scarves, by the way, on Saturday night. So if you got a ticket, you're going to get a scarf. Oh, man, that's going to be just a huge pregame celebration, pregame party. And they had bars all over San Diego yesterday fired up. Good stuff. Okay, let's get into the Padres. We got a lot to talk about with you today, folks. We're going to kind of recap their first three games. They're playing today. They got the Chicago Cubs in Pure. Randy Vasquez is going to be on the mound. Randy Vasquez vying for that fifth spot in the rotation. 20 starts last year, 2-2 record, 4.87 ERA through 98 innings. I thought he got better as the season went on. I wish him the very, very best. And again, you always stay healthy. Cubs are going to send left-hander Matthew Boyd to the mound. That game going to get underway at 12:10. Friday at Peoria, the opener, Padres defeated the Mariners 5-2. Manny homered on the first pitch he saw. How about 428 feet? I mean, he took that thing out of the yard, a two-run dinger. Gavin Sheets, a young guy, 28 years of age. And you know what? I think this guy's got a real chance to make the ball club. He went 2 for 2 with 2 doubles and an RBI. But a couple of things. Number one, this guy's got really good power. Now, he didn't have a very good year last year with the Chicago White Sox, and the Padres end up signing him to a minor league contract. I don't know where it's going to go. He can play first, he can play left, he can play right. But kind of an interesting story. His dad, Larry Sheets, who had a really nice major league career, was the Padre hitting coach, Victor Rodriguez's roommate down in the minor leagues. And so there's a kinship there with Larry Sheets and Victor Rodriguez, and now Victor's coaching Larry's son, Gavin. Gavin Sheets, a left-hand hitter who's got some big-time power. And, I was reading an article over the weekend talking about, there was a point in time where he was trying to drive the ball to the ballpark all the time. And then there became a point in time where he kind of got passive aggressive, was trying to work the count. Some guys can't work the count. And we've seen that here in San Diego. Last year they were, they drew their walks, but they swung the bat and they didn't strike out. That's one of the reasons the Padres had such a good year last year. They put the ball in play. With 2 strikes, they put the ball in play. Nothing ever good comes from a strikeout. You never have a chance to get a hit. You don't have a chance to move runners up. And so I think I'm going to be watching very, very closely in the spring how Gavin Sheets progresses under the tutelage of Victor Rodriguez. I think they may have found a guy that can help him. I don't know where it's going to go. He may end up hitting 190. But I do think there's something there to work with. And I'm going to be watching very closely to see the adjustments he makes and if he becomes a little bit more aggressive at the plate. But what I've seen so far and what I'm hearing has been all positive, but we'll see where it goes. Also, another guy to watch for, a guy that's got major league experience, Oscar Gonzalez. I talked a little bit about him last week on our podcast. In the opener, he went 2 for 3 with a double. Last year, he got hurt. Only played in about 78 games in the minor leagues last year. But another guy you got to keep your eye on, got major league experience. Maybe he ends up going to AAA and ends up, getting up here a little bit later in the year with an injury, or a guy maybe not getting the job done and they decide to give him an opportunity. We'll see where it goes with him. Padres used 9 pitchers, and for the most part, they threw pretty well. I thought Logan Gillespie threw very, very well in that ball game on Friday against the Mariners. And then Saturday, and I'm going to get into Matt Waldron a little bit more. This is kind of my pet project for the spring is keeping tabs on Matt Waldron. But Padres on Saturday beat the Athletics 10-3. Luis Arraez, coming off that left thumb surgery, swinging the bat with some authority. I mean, I could see a big difference in that swing. I mean, he won the batting title last year, but his swing looks even more dialed in right now. And that's kind of unusual early in spring. Man, he laced 2 ball, 1 to left, 1 to right, 2-for-2 in the game. Jackson Merrill had a 2-run single on a 2-strike count. I think it was 1-2, and he laced it over the shortstop's head for a 2-run single. Oscar Gonzalez came back with a 2-hit game again, his second double of the spring, an RBI. Matt Waldron went 2 innings, 2 hits, a run, 2 strikeouts. And then yesterday, Dodgers snapped a 3-3 tie in the 8th. They put 5 runs on the board. They beat the Padres 8-3 over at Camelback Ranch. Ethan Salas RBI double off the center field wall. So Padres right now 2-1. They play the Cubbies later today. Okay, I want to get into talking about Ethan Salas. He's a guy that I really like. And I know everybody say, well, he's a top prospect. Yeah, but he didn't have a great year last year. He really didn't. And we'll see how he fares this year. And I don't know where he's going to go. I would think they may send him to Double-A. Double-A would probably be a great spot for him. Now, he played in Fort Wayne last year. And I want to give you his numbers. And then I'm going to give you his numbers for the Arizona Fall League. And then I'm going to tell you what I think about this kid overall. He's 18 years of age. He's going to turn 19 on June 1st. But go back to 2023. He was rated as a top international free agent coming out. Padres signed him for a record at that time, $5.6 million. Last season in High A Fort Wayne, he played in 111 games. Some of them were DH, but most of them behind the plate. He had 206 with a 288 on base percentage. That's not very good. But his power numbers weren't bad. Right now, he doesn't have man strength. He's a young kid playing a lot of baseball, and he's developing. But he had 27 doubles last year, 2 triples, and hit 4 home runs. Drove in 53 runs. His OPS was only .599. He had 412 at-bats, struck out 98 times, walked 47, and he also stole 10 bases. So then they sent him to the Arizona Fall League. He played 23 games. He had 107 plate appearances, 92 at-bats. He hit .228, but had more power. 21 hits, 6 doubles, 4 homers, 21 RBIs, .327 on base percentage, a .751 OPS. Going against good competition. I mean, he was going against guys that are going to be playing in the big leagues this year. Ethan Salas is going to be okay. I mean, those numbers last year in High A ball were paltry. But here's what I'm going to say. I always, with ball players, I tend to side on the side of caution. I'm not a big believer in promoting guys just because they made a lot of money. I want guys, number one, to earn it, but I want them to be ready to play. I don't want to set a ball player up for failure. You look at some of the great organizations, and I'll look at the St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis Cardinals, all the years that I've watched them, from being a little boy to being an adult, I watch their guys, when they come up from the minor leagues, they're ready to play. It's not like a work in progress. Their guys know how to play. Ethan Salas is going to be, I think, a star. I really do. And we're talking about his offense. Let's talk about his defense. His defense, I think, is outstanding for a youngster. I mean, he's scratching the surface right now, folks. He's scratching the surface. The kid's got quick feet behind the plate. He handles pitching staffs for being 18 years of age, I think, very well. He's had great exposure in spring training each of the last 3 years. I remember 2 years ago when they threw him into a spring training game, and I told AJ Preller this when I saw him over the holidays. I go, AJ Preller, I go, Sal's is going to be great. I go, I knew he was going to be great the day that they let him pinch hit in an exhibition game and he hit a ground ball to second base. He got a good swing. He's going to be a good hitter. I don't know if he's going to be a 300 hitter. Probably not, but hell, I'll take 250, 260 with a little pop. This kid does have some pop. And you saw it yesterday, that RBI double he hit off the center field wall against the Dodgers. But behind the plate, he's got a good arm. He's got quick feet. Stays low, gives the umpire good vision behind there to call balls and strikes. Seems like he's got a good demeanor behind the plate. This kid's the full package. He just needs time. And I don't want him to be rushed. I want, when he comes up, I want him to be able to come up and stay up and be a fixture with his organization forever and ever. Okay, for a long term. And here's the other thing. Let's say the Padres were to bring him up this summer. Okay, it'd be this year, well, depending on when they brought him up. But again, you'd have him under control for 6 years. It'd be 19 years of age. He could be a free agent shortly after he turns 26 years of age. I don't want him to become a free agent at 26. I'd rather him become a free agent at about 28. Okay? Because right now he's in the developmental process. Don't rush him. But I'm going to tell you what, I think a lot about catchers because I was a catcher. I worked a lot with pitchers, and I catching right now is at an all-time low in professional baseball. I'm not going to say the big leagues, but all-time low because, guys, it's hard work. It's really, really hard work back there. And there's so many things that are asked of you. It's not just throwing down the signals. I mean, you got so many things to deal with these days. The pitch clock, what your manager wants, what your pitching coach wants, what your pitcher wants to throw, scouting reports before games. I mean, there's just a lot to navigate. But this kid has got great physical tools. And I think it was so smart by the Padres to re-sign Elias Diaz. You got a veteran in camp, but then they go out and they bring in, and I don't know where he's going to end up or if he'll end up getting released at the end of spring training, but Martin Maldonado, who's been one of the best defensive catchers in baseball for a long time. He's 38 years old, and he was a backup for a long time. He was a starter for a number of years. Last year, he was with the White Sox, had a rough year. They released him, but the Padres signed him to a minor league contract. And he's in camp. He's right there every day with Camposano. Diaz is 34 years of age. Maldonado, Salas, Brent Sullivan. Do you realize how much Ethan Salas can pick up from these veteran catchers like Diaz and Maldonado? Maldonado's won a Gold Glove. I mean, he caught for the Houston Astros. I mean, he caught Verlander. He caught all the big boys. And man, I'm telling you, Ethan Salas is getting baptism by fire working with these guys. I think the world of Salas. I'm really, really high on him, but we got to be patient and bring him up when he's ready. Let's hope that he goes to Double A, and I would think they would start him in Double A this year. I think he's ready for Double A, even though he only hit 206 last year. But you got to remember, the year before that, they moved him all around. He actually finished in Double A at the end of his true rookie year in professional baseball. And I really don't know what that was all about. I know they said, well, they got a bunch of pitchers there. They're going to get to the big leagues. Well, a lot of those guys are not even with the organization anymore, but they moved him all over the place that first year. He was in Arizona. He was in Elsinore. He was in Fort Wayne. He was in San Antonio. So now he's got one full year under his belt in Fort Wayne. He got good Arizona Fall League, got a little rest, kept working out. Now he's in spring training. We'll see where it goes. But I'm really high on this kid. And I think he's going to be a star. I think he's going to be an all-star. I really do. Okay, I want to talk about Matt Waldron a little bit. Because Matt Waldron and Randy Vasquez are going to fight this out. And who knows? I mean, we'll see where it goes, who ends up winning that fifth spot. There are other candidates. We know about that. But Matt Waldron last year, I'm convinced if Matt Waldron wouldn't have pitched well there, especially in the month of June, Padres don't make the playoffs. When everybody else was kind of struggling, Matt Waldron was pitching pretty well. Now, when you look at his overall numbers, they weren't very good. I mean, 27 games, 26 starts, 7.11 and a 4.91 ERA. Things got really out of hand the last couple of months, especially. I mean, you go back to August, he made 4 starts, 1 and 2 with a 10.35 ERA. And then in September, he pitched 1 game, 4 innings, got cuffed around, gave up 8 hits, 5 runs, 4 of them earned, and had a 9 ERA. And they shipped him down to the minor leagues, and we never saw him again. But you go back to the month of June, he made 6 starts. He was 2-2 with a 2.45, and that's when the Padres were really scuffling with guys with injuries. Musgrove was struggling. Guys weren't going through kind of a tough time. And Matt Waldron, 146 and 2/3 innings last year, 145 hits, 40 walks, 133 strikeouts, gave up 21 dingers. In fact, I went back and looked at what he did and broke it down. Left-handers against right-handers. Against left-handers, they hit 260 against them, 11 homers, a 781 OPS. Against right-handers, 251, 10 homers, a 706 OPS. But really, everything got kind of skewed. I mean, his ERA in 6 starts in April was 4.35. Then 5 starts, a 2-2 record in May, a 4.15, and then he had the brilliant month of June, 2.45, and then things, Hay was out of the barn. 5 starts in July, 1-2, 4.97, and then the 10.35 and 4 starts in August, and the 1 game in September where his ERA was 9 and 4 innings. I think he ran out of gas. I've said that numerous times. You'll hear me, whenever I talk about Matt Waldron, you'll hear me talk about how I think he ran out of gas, not only physically, but mentally. I think he never expected to pitch over 140 innings in the big leagues last year. And, I watched him very closely on Saturday against the A's. And I like his delivery. His fastball is, not probably even major league average. It's 90, 92 probably, maybe on a fast gun, 93. But he threw a lot of knuckleballs. I think in the 2 innings, he threw 20 knuckleballs. And I think he needs to continue to do that. I thought he made an interesting comment. I know a little bit about the knuckleball because I used to goof around with it. And you normally want to lower your elbow a little bit. And I think last year what happened to him is he was playing with, he'd throw his fastball up here, and then he'd try to drop down with that lower elbow and push the ball. I think you're going to see him stay a little bit higher this year and throw the ball a little bit more and try to put maybe a little bit more on it. We'll see. I think he's tinkering around with it quite a bit. But I'm hoping he can come back and help this ball club. And I'm not saying he's going to be the 5th starter. I'm not saying he'll be the 5th starter all year long, but I think he's going to be a part of this ball club at some point, whether it's early in the year, middle of the year, late in the year. But they've got a bunch of arms, and they're going to be some really good competition. And competition's only good. And like we've said before, I mean, it's going to take more than 5 starters for this team to have a good season and be a playoff team. So, Matt Waldron, I wish him the very, very best of luck. And I think overall the other day looked pretty good. I did want to drop in a few Padre notes. Then we're going to get to that ABS challenge system here in a minute, but I want to go back and get you some Padre notes. I wrote down a ton of notes this weekend. I really enjoyed watching those ball games. First of all, I want to give you an update on the young minor leaguer that got hurt yesterday. Cole Papillon. Mike Schultz said this morning he got hit in the face yesterday. He was bleeding. They had to take him off in a cart. It was scary. It was like what I saw last week when Bobby Miller of the Dodgers got hit in the forehead. I mean, that's just awful. I mean, you don't even want to see the replay. But Cole Papillon yesterday suffered facial fractures. And so, you know what? This happened to him last year. He had an injury last year where he got hit in spring training. He got a late start to his season. It looks like that's going to happen again this year. He also, along with the facial fractures, they're saying he's going to be in concussion protocol for a while. So we wish him the very, very best, man. That ball coming back at over 100 miles an hour, sometimes you just don't have a shot to defend yourself. A couple of other notes. Sean Reynolds walking around camp right now wearing a walking boot. I'm going to have that on for about 10 days. Last year ended the season with a knee injury. So, and what we saw him last year, he was pretty good. I thought he threw the ball pretty well last year. He had one really bad outing, but most of his outings were pretty good. So he's going to be out at least 10 days walking around in a boot. Brian Hoeing, scheduled to play catch today. I don't think he's going to throw a bullpen. He's going to play a little catch. A little bit of a tender shoulder right now. As they say in baseball, it's barking a little bit. So nothing major. Just, I think some early season soreness. And Fernando Tatis, Mike Schultz said this morning, Fernando going to be out a little bit longer. Hadn't played yet. Been battling a cold or flu or some type of illness, so they're going to give him a little more time. And there's no reason why. Give him all the time he needs right now. He got plenty of time to get ready. No question about that. Want to get to the ABS challenge system, and we're gonna play a little bit for you here. And I want your opinion on this. My opinion was one way, and take a look here. Here's my buddy Tim Neverett.
Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
The other thing we discovered.
Here's what it looked like. So it was a strike. So the Cubs challenged it. I'm guessing it's the 0-1 pitch. Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
The other thing we discovered.
Here's what it looked like. So it was a strike.
And there you go. Now that's Tim Neverett, a good friend of mine. In fact, we'll get Timmy on the program here when he has some time. But him and Rick Monday called it a heck of a ball game the other day. But the ABS challenge system, automatic ball strike challenge system. Now, I want to know what you think about this. Now, here's the way it has worked from time to time. And I like it this way. If they're going to have it, I like it this way. And I'm going to tell you why. Down in the minor leagues, they had it where the umpire, you got to have an umpire behind the plate, first of all, because you got a catcher's interference. If the ball is fair or foul out in front of the plate, if the guy gets hit by a pitch, I mean, you got to have a human being back there. But in the minor leagues, they had it to where the umpire would be told if it was a ball or strike. Okay, I don't like that. I like it the way they're doing it right now in spring training. And each team gets 2 challenges per game. If you miss, you lose your challenge. So you got 2 challenges, and you could challenge in the first inning, and you could challenge 5 times if you want. And if you're right all 5 times, you keep your challenge. But the way I like it is either the pitcher, the catcher, or the hitter can challenge. The manager, nobody else can challenge. Only 3 guys can challenge. The hitter, the catcher, and the pitcher. And I'm going to be honest with you. My pitchers would never be able to challenge. I would tell my pitch, don't even begin to think you're going to challenge a pitch. My catcher's going to run that because pitchers are way too emotional. They think everything's a strike, and I'm not going to get into that with them. It's all up to the catcher. Catchers have a better feel. They're right there. They're seeing what the umpire sees. But the way it works is you tap your hat, tap the top of your head. The umpire says there's a challenge. They look at it. They put it on the board. And if it's overturned, you lose a challenge. And I thought it worked very well. And I thought it was very quick. Maybe they could find a way to do it quicker. I think it's kind of cool if they put it on the board, put it on the center field jumbotron, and everybody will either cheer or boo. But give me your opinion on that. I really would like to hear the positives or negatives on that. But I like the way they're looking to do it because I talked to players that played. This started really about, 4 or 5 years ago back in the Atlantic League. And I talked to players that played in the Atlantic League, and they said the biggest problem they had was the low strike. And now this was not the challenge system. You could challenge it, but it was like every pitch was being called by the robot unless you challenged it, and then they would take another look at it. And then it worked up to the minor leagues. It worked up to the Pacific Coast League. And the hitters that I talked to in the Pacific Coast League, they said that the high strike was not being called correctly. So now they've got it worked out well enough that they're implemented in spring training. And I'd like, if you've watched a game or you saw what we just did on our camera screen, give me a thought on that. And we're going to play it one more time. Jonathan will crank this up. I want to see that one more time, and you'll see how they call. And I think Cody Poteet, the pitcher, who's actually from San Diego, he's the one that actually called it. But again, if I'm managing, my catcher is going to be the guy that calls. Let's take another look. If we can get that up there. Oh, well, that's all right. I kind of threw a curveball to Jonathan there. Threw a curveball to him. But that's okay. But give me your take on what you like about it or dislike about it. I really want your opinion. A lot of the things that Rob Manfred's done, I'm not a big fan of at all. But at the end of the day, this one may be pretty good. But I'm going to tell you the other thing that I think, here it is right here. Let's take a look at it.
Here's what it looked like. So it was a strike. So the Cubs challenged it. I'm guessing it's the 0-1 pitch. Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
So you see Cody Poteet tapped his hat. But see, I don't want my pitchers doing it. Because in a heated game, they're going to want to challenge too many. I want to make sure my catcher's running the show back there. That's me. We'll see how it works. We'll see if it's implemented. It's not going to be implemented this year. It'll be as early as next year. It'll be implemented. But they still got to figure some things out. You know that they were actually having ball players. They were measuring and digitally. They had players measured. They had to take their shoes off and to dictate their strike zone. So it's really unique and very deep. But give me your opinion on that. If you want to write in right now, great. If not, bottom of our page, make sure you make the comments on that. Okay, I want to get to Coach's Mailbag. I always enjoy the mailbag. And again, we look at each and every one after every show, and we pick out a few. Let's take a look at one right now. Mark Kirkpatrick, I really wish we had an NHL hockey team and an arena support them. I think they would be a great complement to the Padres offseason. Mark, I agree with you. I don't know what's going on with the arena land down there. Remember Stan Kroenke? They were working on trying to put something together, and it's been crickets. I would love to have an NHL team here. You know what's really interesting to me? The San Diego Gulls came back a number of years ago, and I hear nothing about the Gulls. I don't really see much in the paper on them. I don't hear much about them around town. Gulls once upon a time were really big news in this community. But I don't know if they're not marketing. I know they're not on terrestrial radio. I think they're on the internet. But I think they're missing out on a pretty good hockey fan base. But I would love to have an NHL team. But again, it's kind of the chicken and the egg. You're not going to get an NHL team without an arena. And you're not going to get an arena without a team that's going to move in here. I'm really kind of happy about what's going on up in Oceanside at Front Wave Arena. It's kind of cool. They've got the G League Clippers up there, San Diego Clippers. How about that going back a few years? Fat Sal, what about San Diego Mariners hockey was a good team? Yeah, they were. They came in after the original Gulls. The Mariners were here for a few years. Andre Lacroix in the World Hockey Association. They were good. Andre Lacroix was a big all-star. That was a lot of fun. Didn't go to many of those games. Went to a lot of Gulls games. I think a lot of it had to do kind of where I was in my athletic career. But, man, we used to go, as I mentioned, my dad loved going to the original San Diego Gulls, 66, 67, into the early 70s. And then the World Hockey League came into play. And at that time, I was playing 3 sports and not a lot of time to head out to arena on a night, but good stuff on that, Fat Sal. Some good memories right there. We got any other questions you'd like to drop in? Please feel free to do that. Ocean View Coffee Shop. Oh, man, I love Ocean View Coffee Shop. San Diego FC has awesome gear. Yeah, they do. You know, one of the things I found when I was the vice president of operations and general manager of the Sockers, you got to get good gear, and you got to have a lot of it. You can't sell stuff you don't have. And they've got great gear. I mean, their kits are really cool. Their scarves are great. I got to get a scarf. I need a scarf from San Diego FC. I'm big into those scarves. But I agree with you. Man, yesterday, places all over San Diego were fired up about San Diego FC. And then they take down the defending champion Galaxy 2-0. Manga. Indeed, catchers are the foundation of any team, in my opinion. They're the liaison between manager and pitchers, and therefore the whole team. Totally agree with you. Mango Dolo. It sounds like a great name for a switch-hitting middle infielder right there. No, I agree with you. You know, I always felt when I was coaching or managing baseball, I always felt my catcher was an extension of me on the field. Me and him had to be on the same page. And if you got a good catcher, it can make up for a lot of deficiencies in other areas. Not only that, it gives your pitching staff a lot of confidence that they can throw anything at any time. Guy on third, they can bounce a breaking ball because that catcher is going to find a way to knock it down and keep it in front. So good question there. Good comment. I totally agree with you 100%. Okay, we got to get to a little college basketball today. I'm going to tell you what, this UC San Diego team, folks, I did their game the other night, and they just annihilated a team that's not all that bad in the University of Hawaii, 83-44. I mean, they were up 42-17 at halftime. They're 24-4, and they're 14-2 in conference. They got a game lead over UC Irvine, but the mid-major rankings came out today, and the Tritons right now are ranked 7th in all of college basketball in the mid-major poll. San Diego State's 11th. And this team is unbelievable. And there was an article last week about Eric Olin probably going to get offers to leave UC San Diego and go to a bigger program with a lot more money to be made. But Eric Olin doesn't worry about that right now. He's coaching his basketball team. I had a great talk with him the other night. And he loves UC San Diego. His family loves San Diego. I don't know what's going to transpire, but I can tell you this. He's going to get some big-time offers. He really is. He is a fantastic coach. He's a fantastic man. His teams play extremely well connected. And there's a lot of pressure on UC San Diego right now, because everybody's expecting them to get to the tournament on what they've done. They beat Utah State at Utah State. And that's when they were undefeated at the time. And they went in there and they beat them up in Logan. They've had some great wins. They beat Irvine, who's 11th in the mid-majors in the country. They beat them by 18 on Irvine's home floor after losing to them here at home by 8. I mean, they're a really, really good basketball team. They won their 9th straight game the other night. They got a big game on Thursday night against CSUN. I'll be calling their game on Saturday night on ESPN Plus with my buddy Teddy Mendenhall against Cal State Fullerton. And then they've got 2 games left after that, Long Beach State and at UC Davis. I mean, if they run the table and win the regular season, they will finish the regular season at 28-4, but they're still going to have to win probably the Big West Conference tournament, because in the last several years, there's only been one team come out of the Big West, even though I think Irvine is deserving and UC San Diego is very deserving. I mean, this is their first year where they're eligible for the NCAA tournament. They had to go through that probationary period for 4 years. Last year, they finished second in the Big West with 21 wins, and they were 15-5 in conference, and they couldn't go anywhere other than, what was a CBI tournament, I think. And they got beat in that tournament down in Florida because they weren't eligible for the NCAA or the NIT. And this is their first year. They're fully big-time Division I where they're eligible for everything. They got a guy by the name of Niwa Tate Jones. He's from New Zealand. The guy's unbelievable. In fact, they have Ken Palm ratings for basketball players. And right now, for the Ken Palm Player of the Year, he's one of the top 10 in the country. A guy from UC San Diego. Think about that. Steve Quiz and I called the game the other night. We're walking to our car after the game and said, do you think that we would ever, doing the UC San Diego games, we would be talking about where the Tritons are in the Ken Palm or the net rankings, let alone they're ahead of San Diego State? It's unbelievable. But Niwa Tate Jones is a legit dude, man. He's going to play pro basketball somewhere. I don't know where it's going to be, but he's going to be making a nice paycheck next year somewhere. And then they've got, a guy like Tyler McGuy, who was the 6th man of the year last year in the Big West Conference. Guy's a legit big-time shooter. 3 more trifectas the other night, approaching 100 on the year. Norden Kapich, a young man from Austria, coming in, playing great basketball. Chris Howell from Torrey Pines, former CIF Player of the Year. spent 3 years at St. Mary's, come down to play this year, doing a great job playing defense, making steals, setting his teammates up. Hayden Gray from Santa Fe Christian having a marvelous year, leading the nation in steals right now. I mean, this team is really special. And they're just playing at a very, very high level. They're not the most talented team you'll ever see, but I'll tell you, they're probably as smart as team as I've ever seen. And I'm talking about at any level of basketball. These guys know how to play. Their basketball IQ is off the chart, absolutely off the chart. If you like smart, aggressive basketball, you got to get out to see one of their last 2 home games. Aztecs now, and we're waiting cautiously about Magoon Gwath. I mean, the other night he gets hurt, and I don't know what the hell they were doing. They went up and down the court, and the guy's laying on the court. I mean, after you go down to the other end, I mean, made shot, missed shot, you got to blow the whistle and get him off the court. Guy hurt his right knee, and I don't know how bad it is. Didn't look good, I can tell you that. He only played 2 minutes and 16 seconds, had a rebound and a block. But he goes down, hurts the right knee, and let's hope it's only like a bone bruise. Let's hope it's not torn ligaments or tore ACL. I mean, the Aztec season's on the line with this medical diagnosis. Aztecs, they're definitely a bubble team, probably going to have to win the Mountain West Conference tournament. They got beat the other night 79-71. I mean, they were okay the other night. They weren't awful. They had a lead, and then all of a sudden at the end of the game, they didn't know how to score. Utah State went on a 14-0 run, and the Aztecs didn't score until like 2 seconds left to go in the game. They had the lead, and they went scoreless. We've seen that before. But Utah State's a hell of a tough team, man. Really tough team. But they went on a 14-0 run late, beat the Aztecs. So the Aztecs now are in a situation, they got to win as many games during the regular season. They got New Mexico tomorrow night. New Mexico they can beat. They got to shut down Donovan Dunn, who's probably the best player, probably going to be the Mountain West Conference Player of the Year. Got to shut him down. They got a good team, but they're not nearly as good on the road as they are at the pit. You can say that about a lot of teams, but they've got a tremendous home court advantage down in Albuquerque. Variety of reasons. But namely because they play really well in their building and they got a big crowd and all that good stuff. But we're waiting on Magoon Gwath. And I wish I could give you more right now, but I can't because they're getting an MRI. And we haven't heard the results. Aztecs this week, New Mexico tomorrow night, Saturday. They're going to be at the Dome of Doom, the Arena Auditorium in Wyoming. Wyoming gave them a tough game here a few weeks back, but the Aztecs should be able to beat them. Okay, last thing I'm going to get to, and if we have any other comments, we'll get those as well. But USD, wow, 4-25, 1-15. Saturday afternoon, they got beat by Oregon State, 83-73. They got 2 games in the regular season, then they go to the Big West or to the West Coast Conference tournament. Thursday night at Beasley Coliseum, 6:30 up in Pullman. They got Washington State, and then they close out the regular season at home against Portland, 7 o'clock Saturday night. End of the regular season, one more game after that, and maybe, who knows, maybe they upset somebody and get to the second round. I'm not going to hold my breath on that. You got to wonder about the future of Steve Lav. This is his 3rd year, and they haven't won a game since December. I don't know where it's going to go. Yesterday, they made the announcement that Cindy Fisher had been their women's basketball coach for 20 years. She's done at the end of the year. Got 2 more games plus the conference tournament. She's done. 1 NCAA appearance, 8 WNITs, record of 345, 267, conference player record, 167, 159. This year, 6-21 and 2-16. I mean, the basketball programs at USD are not very good, and I'm being kind. How are they going to get that thing turned around? And you got to wonder, does Steve Lavity want to continue to coach at USD? I know he's making a lot of money, but, man, his career record has taken a friggin' beating the last 3 years. And I think pretty good coach. He had a pretty good run at UCLA. You can say what you want, but he got to some Sweet 16s. Until that final year he was up there, things kind of unraveled. I think they won 11-18. But Steve Lavin did a great job at St. John's, was out of coaching, And I'm not convinced that the game has passed him by. I just think he ran into some tough break. Last year, he had some really good players, and they all transferred out because of NIL. And the good players he has this year, they may transfer out. I mean, Cody Cluett's pretty good player. Tony Duckett, who I think became a walk-on out of Carlsbad, he's a good player. But they got to figure out what they're doing out there. It may not be the coach. It may be the system that we're seeing in college athletics. But that's going to be up to the athletic director to figure that out. But he decided to let Cindy Fisher go after 20 years. So there you have it. Okay. I gave you a lot today, folks. I gave you a lot. I gave you what I had. I hope everybody enjoying our podcast. You know, the spring training is one thing, and we have a good time with it. But, man, I can't wait for the regular season because we're going to be touching base quite frequently about Padre baseball. Now, again, I would ask you, if you're tuned in, please subscribe to the program. Like it if you like it. I would hope you like it if you're wasting your time, not wasting your time, but tuning in, taking time out of your day. And please spread the word. We're trying to gain more and more subscribers. We want to keep this thing rolling a little bit. Also, you can follow me on Facebook at John Quintera. You follow me on X at Coach Quintera 44. And again, whether it's on our YouTube page, Facebook page, or on X, send me your comments. I want to hear your comments about the program. Again, we'll be back in on Friday. I may have a guest on Friday. We'll wait and see. I don't always like to have a guest. I like to get as much information out to you folks as I possibly can. But hope everyone has a great week. Let's hope the Padres can stay healthy. Let's hope Fernando gets back in the lineup here before too long, get his at-bats in and get ready because, man, every day we click off another day on that calendar. We're getting close to the month of March and get to March and things start getting a little bit closer. So anyways, everyone, have a great week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, please subscribe, please like, and we'll talk to you again on Friday morning. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.